Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back. This is going to be another look at my complete collection of horror films and science fiction films. And today I'm going to show you what I have in collections, compilations, double features, triple features, that sort of thing. And then when I come back, hopefully tomorrow or the next day, I'll start with just going by alphabetical order. Um, Speaking of Halloween and all things horror, today I got the latest issue of Scary Monsters magazine in the mail. How exciting is that? Look at that artwork on the cover. Huh? And on the back. I had no idea whether we are going to have this month. I was quite surprised and very pleased to find, guess who has a featured article? None other than Miss B. Steele. A guy named, let's see, what is this guy's name? Jim Ivers? Jim Ivers is writing about three of her films. He's calling the article a trilogy of terror, and he's doing reviews of Castle of Blood, An Angel for Satan, and The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. So, but he also talks about Black Sunday, of course. So I'm very excited about that. I knew I would have to say something about Barbara Steele in this Halloween season. I just can't seem to help myself. All right. Now, first I'm going to show you what I have. These collections from Hammer Films. I have four different sets. And you'll notice that in the list of films they have in these sets, they kind of overlap from one collection to another. So first of all, this Hammer Films collection, which I'm sure a lot of you have, it features the films The Creatures the World Forgot, the Revenge of Frankenstein, Maniac, Never Take Candy from a Stranger, The Snorkel, and Die Die My Darling. Now the big winner on this one, and the reason I bought it is for Die Die My Darling, which features Tallulah Bankhead in a really terrific, hard to describe performance. Very, very good. Next is another collection that has The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll, Stop Me Before I Kill, again, Scream of Fear, The Gorgon, and The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb. All right. Next we have the Icons of Suspense collection from Hammer Films, featuring six films: Stop Me Before I Kill, oh my god, Cash on Demand, The Snorkel, Maniac, Never Take Candy from a Stranger, and These Are the Damned. Now, the big winner on this to me is These Are the Damned, which is a freaky film starring MacDonald Carey, Oliver Reed, Vivica Lindfors, and Shirley Ann Field in a very strange little movie all about nuclear radiation, okay? Which you need to see. And finally, here's the 8 film collection of the Hammer Horror series, featuring Brides of Dracula, The Curse of the Werewolf, The Phantom of the Opera, Paranoid, The Kiss of the Vampire, that's a good one, Nightmare, Night Creatures, and The Evil of Frankenstein. Fantastic collection of Hammer films. There are so many Hammer films I have yet to see. I also have this double feature. These are both Hammer films. Um, yeah, one is Chamber of Horrors, and the other is The Brides of Fu Manchu with Christopher Lee. Then we have Hammer Collection double feature, two Dracula films, The Satanic Rites of Dracula and Dracula Prince of Darkness, okay, starring the great Christopher Lee. And finally, we get to another compilation. This is a 6 movie collection called Haunted Spirits, which has some obscure things, something called Butterfly Dreaming. I've watched all of these and I don't remember that much about them. Stranger with My Face, The Nameless, The Collective, The Dead Sleep, and The Night Listener. Now, The Night Listener is a fantastic film that I'd never heard of until I got this set. It stars Robin Williams and Toni Collette. Very, very creepy movie. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. Now, the reason I bought this is because of this film called The Nameless, which is a Spanish horror film. I remember years ago I went to a Monster Bash, and a couple guys that I was talking to about obscure films told me that I had to see this. So I finally found this compilation which contained it, and they were right. I definitely was very impressed. The Nameless, very strange and kind of violent film. Uh, 4 movie collection of classic horror featuring a great science fiction movie from the 1950s called Five, The Mad Magician with Vincent Price, which I haven't watched yet. The Man Who Turned to Stone, and Christopher Lee in The Terror of the Tongs. All right. Next up is, okay, this is where I get into some of the trailers. This is from Something Weird Video, and it's called Super Atomic Sci-Fi Thrill-O-Rama Show. And we have all these trailers from, let's not read you some of these. Um, let's see, Children of the Damned, Them, The Incredible Shrieking Man, Friday the 13th, Attack of the Puppet People, Day the Earth Stood Still, all kinds of things. Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, Conquest of the Planet of the Apes, Logan's Run, just a whole variety of things. I could sit for days and watch these trailers and just zonk out completely. Here's another one from Something Weird Video. This is called Nightmare Theater's Late Night Chillerama Horror Show. And we have things like, let's see, Blood of the Vampire, The Cyclops, I Was a Teenage Werewolf, Blood of Dracula, Brain from Planet Eros. So we have a lot of really weird 50s stuff. Okay? Uh, yeah. Oh, The Wicker Man is on there too. Wow. All right. And if that wasn't enough, now we have this, which is Super Horrorama Shriek Show from Something Weird Video. We have Curse of the Demon, uh, Indestructible Man, The Car, Burnt Offerings, The Changeling. We'll get into a lot of more modern things here. Okay. All right. Now here's something I bought. 12 Creature Features. Has films like The Creeping Terror. This is one about the piece of carpet that sort of crawls across the ground. It's hard to describe. Gamera, The Invincible, Horror High, Attack of the Monsters, The Horrors of Spider Island, The Wasp Woman, The Crater Lake Monster. Anyway, you get the picture. Okay. Low budget flicks. William Castle Film Collection. This is definitely worth having. 13 Ghosts, which I have on another disc. 13 Frightened Girls, which is really not that good. Mr. Sardonicus, which is good. Homicidal, which is terrific. And The Old Dark House, which I have, the remake, which I have not yet watched. Okay. Next up, we have a couple of, this is a nice double feature. Grindhouse double feature shock show, featuring two obscure films from, I think, the 1950s. I watched these, but it's been quite a while. One is called Fright, starring Nancy Malone and Eric Fleming, and Stark Fear, starring Beverly Garland, Skip Homeyer, and Kenneth Tobey. All right? For mature audiences only. Of course they are. Here is one of my favorite double features. I love these movies so much, especially The Horror of Party Beach. Two films directed by Del Tenney. The Horror of Party Beach, which is just an unbelievably bad classic that I can watch again and again. And The Curse of the Living Corpse, which is a very different kind of horror film and also quite good to watch. Horror of Party Beach is an absolute must for all collectors of schlock horror. Okay, here's a flat or a thin pack, I should say. Sam Katzman double feature, Icons of Horror collection, Zombies of Moroto, starring Allison Hayes, who is a legend in her own right, and The Werewolf. Okay, and then we have, see, this is Creepy Classics trailers from the 1950s and the 1960s. I love creepy classics. Here's a list of what they have on there, if you can see it. Okay, now here's triple feature Wes Craven Dracula collection, and I bought this years ago. I haven't yet watched any of these movies. Jerry Ryan is in one of these. Dracula 2000, Dracula 2 Ascension, and Dracula 3 Legacy. All right, I will get around someday. I bet these are bloody as fuck, man. I bet these are just dripping with blood. But I'll watch them sometime. Here is a terrific collection of Vincent Price films. Okay, 2 discs, 2 double features. We have The Pit and the Pendulum, Tales of Terror, The Mask of the Red Death, and Madhouse. All right, have not yet watched Madhouse, so I don't know anything about that. What's going on with two cult classics, Samuel Z. Arkoff collection. I don't know how many of these came out, but I have a couple of them. One is How to Make a Monster, and the other is Blood of Dracula. Two really terrific horror films from the late 50s. I love Blood of Dracula, and How to Make a Monster has actually come out on Blu-ray, so I have that on Blu-ray, and I'll show that later. Okay, this is from DVD-R Party, one of my favorite sellers online. This is the Halloween Party and Spook Show. It has all kinds of little clips from horror movies and just a variety of things to celebrate Halloween. You know, little trailers and stuff like that. Yeah, great fun. Now this is something from another seller online. This is called the Big Box of Evil. Okay, Damon Packard. I'm not sure who Damon Packard is, but I guess he's the guy who put all these together. This is a compilation of several made-for-TV horror films from the 1970s. Okay, A Taste of Evil, Fear No Evil, Force of Evil, Something Evil, Reflection of Fear, and Reflection of Murder. Now, the reason I bought this, it's been several years. Fear No Evil, one of my favorite made-for-TV horror films. This is the only way you could get it in one of these really bad reproductions. And now it has come out on Blu-ray, so this is no longer necessary. But I'm going to keep this anyway, just because it's so cool. These are recorded right off television, and a lot of them have commercials, which is a lot of fun. Now, the big winner on this, the big surprise, is a film called Reflections of Murder from 1974, which is a made-for-TV remake of the classic French film Diabolique, starring Tuesday Weld, Joan Hackett, and Sam Waterston. It is an excellent film. So, and actually, that is a pretty good print, even though it was taken right off television. They did a good job, so it's definitely watchable. This is something I would say is definitely deserving of a real remaster production. Reflections of Murder. Okay. Next up is this was back in the early DVD era. This is Drive-In Discs Volume 1, Screaming Skull, and The Attack of the Giant Leeches. Now, these have both been remastered and on Blu-rays, and I have both of them. But I'm going to keep this anyway just because it's so much fun. Okay, it also has little extra features, trailers and stuff like that. So, and here is MGM movie collection, 4 horror films. We have The Return of the Living Dead, Swamp Thing, which is really cool. I never saw it until I got this. A Bucket of Blood, which is a terrific Roger Corman film from 1960, which I also have on a separate disc. And Frogs, which is a very creepy Nature Gone Wild horror film. All right. Next up is another of the Samuel Z. Arkoff cult classics, The Day the World Ended and The She Creature. Both very cool films from the 1950s. All right. Next we have, let's see, from Anchor Bay, we have Drive-In double feature, Circus of Horrors, and which is a terrific movie. I remember seeing that when I was a kid. And Theater of Death, Christopher Lee. Okay. Next up is a trip features Sci-Fi classics, Roger Corman's cult classics, 3 science fiction movies, The Attack of the Crab Monsters, War of the Satellites, and Not of This Earth, which is a great movie starring Beverly Garland. Okay, very cool movie. Next up, we have a double feature, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which of course I already have in that box set that I showed you yesterday. But I bought this. I wanted to get a copy of Starman. Okay, Starman, starring Jeff Bridges by John Carpenter, which is a terrific movie. Terrific movie. So I have 2 copies of Close Encounters. It's all right. I could live with it. Here's another one from the early days of the DVD horror film releases. Chiller Theater, or is this Killer Theater? Yeah, Killer Theater. Yeah, sorry. Killer Theater, double feature. Blood Creature and Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory. Another a German horror film, which I saw at the theater when I was a kid. Always loved. All right, very cool movie. So even though the prints aren't all that terrific, But what the hell? Here's something I bought. I think I picked this up at Big Lots or someplace. Sci-Fi double feature, Time Warp, something called Time Warp, starring Adam West, and something else called Warp Speed. I have never watched these. I don't know anything about them. I'm not. I just bought them because they were cheap, and I figured I'd get around to watching them someday. Anybody seen these movies? Adam West. Yeah. Okay. Next up is another Killer Theater double feature, The Killer Shrews, which is a really wild movie, and I Bury the Living, starring um, yeah, what's his face? Richard Boone. And now I Bury the Living also has come out on Blu-ray, so in a very good production. But I'll keep this. Killer Shrews, it's essential, you know. Next up is the classic sci-fi Ultimate Collection. This is wonderful. Tarantula, the Mole People, the Incredible Shrinking Man, the Monolith Monsters, and Monster on the Campus, featuring Troy Donahue, a very young Troy Donahue, right? And the second volume of the Ultimate Sci-Fi Collection. Let's see, we have Dr. Cyclops, Cult of the Cobra, The Land Unknown, The Deadly Mantis, and The Leech Woman, right? Essential purchase. Go out and buy it right now. And finally, I have my Planet of the Apes Legacy Collection, which I picked up fairly recently. Finally got around to watching the original 5 Planet of the Apes movies and loved every one of them. Okay, so I'm very, very glad that I got this. Another Big Lots inexpensive purchase. Quite surprising. And finally, a couple of cool things about Mexican monsters. This is from DVD R Party, the K. Gordon Murray um, American releases of Mexican horror films redone for American television. And these are trailers from some of the movies, all right, which I remember seeing on TV back in the 60s. Things like The Bloody Vampire, The Vampire's Coffin, Bring Me the Vampire, The Curse of the Crying Woman, The Curse of the Doll People, etc., 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 The World of the Vampires. Some of these are really cool. And finally, this is something else he sent me, sort of as a bonus because I bought some other things. This is Mexican Monsters on the March. How's that for artwork? Huh? They're probably going to censor this. This is a very strange little compilation of um, sort of condensed versions of some very obscure Mexican horror films that I have never heard of. Things like Riders of the Skulls, Return of the Monsters, Ship of Monsters, Adventures in the Center of the Earth, The Baron of Horror. I don't know anything about these, but I've looked at some of these and they are really freaky. So, but it's not the entire movie. They just show, small parts of it. And that is my video for today. And I hope you enjoy this, and I will try to get back to you tomorrow and show you some more. Let me know if you've seen any of these movies. Take care.